You didn't know it was a songwriter, did you?
No, I did not. Good morning, everyone. Youngstown's Talk Channel, Joe and Kelin in the morning, where we talk about fun shit. Never negative, never depressing.
We're very
always
uniting.
Uplifting. Yeah, we bring everybody together.
We do. Our content, world peace. It brings people together. That's what the internet does.
Do you remember North Carolina, by the way? The Miss USA North Carolina speech.
Oh yeah, where everyone's like, "What?"
Yes, it was my favorite.
Therefore, with
U.S. Americans and Iraq, and they don't have maps. Like, it was the best. Like, internet memes from the early 2000s were the effing best. Today's are all stupid. They're just otters and cats. But there was real stuff before.
Not stupid.
Yes,
otters, puppies,
and cats.
That's the best. That's the best.
You know what's been visiting me lately is really horrifying videos of like assassinations and people, getting shot and killed. And like, I don't know how I joined this one.
What kind of dark web?
But I scroll
algorithm
past it quick because I don't want to see that shit. That like hits my soul. I don't want to see anybody die.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't like the real violent ones of like people getting hit by a car or shot or something. I was like, no. This morning, somebody shared it's like a film that Tim Tebow was a part of about trafficking children. And I started to see it and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna
Yeah.
They're like, let's raise awareness. I'm well aware.
Right.
I'm very aware of all these things. And I'm going to just not watch it right now.
Yeah. So the algorithm looks at what you pay attention to for more than 1 second. Right. And so I figure, like, I understand why scantily clad women with big breasts are common space on my feed.
Why?
But
I don't understand why.
Assassinations, like, there's never once I'm like, let me see what happens next.
Yeah.
Never, of course.
So yeah, like back
this is being forced on me.
Like when Charlie Kirk was killed and everybody was like, oh, there's video online. You could watch it happen. I would watch like news coverage, but the moment it came up on the video, I was like, no. Like, that's not something I want to see. I don't want to watch that go down.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah, for sure. Sarah says, hey, VD spreader number 1 here to say hi. Is that venereal disease or Sarah? VD? Is that what is VD? Like, I went venereal disease. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Are you a spreader of VD?
All right, let's clarify that before we undermine Sarah's credibility.
Sarah's probably like, what is wrong with you two? Good morning.
How many other VDs do you know of that are in pop culture?
VD.
Let's try to discover, like, what other VD could it be?
I don't know.
Vindictive discussions.
Vin Diesel.
All right, maybe we'll get to the bottom of that one. So, all right, you get first crack. What are we talking about today?
I don't know. That's all I got.
Seriously? That's all you brought to the table?
Valentine's Day. I was going to guess that too.
It's not Valentine's Day yet. We're much further.
Do you know next week? I had to Google it. Brandon Kovac approved.
Yeah. You probably aren't paying attention to the saga.
I keep seeing like your posts and Emma Lobro's posts on these people, but I don't know who these people are or what they're doing.
I will give a 10-second, I don't know, rehashing. But go ahead, finish what you were going to say.
Oh, you won't. You'll hate this. I was just going to say next weekend is Friday the 13th, followed by Valentine's Day. And I think that's fabulous.
Okay.
I love Friday the 13th.
Well, we'll talk about the history of Saint Valentine and what it really means and how it's been adopted into pop culture.
No, I just want it to be a day to eat candy and go on a date and feel all lovey-dovey right after murdering on Friday the 13th.
Yeah. But you're exposing yourself to risk and liabilities by inviting new people into your love spectrum. And also you're eating poison at the same time. So why not? Why not just up the risk?
I mean, we always have poison.
For VD.
Do you ever have alcohol?
Yes.
Cigars?
Yes.
Oh, but Valentine's Day you have a problem with.
Listen, I'm just giving the truth of it, right? Eating chocolate, eating sugars, equals poison. So when you're eating it, you know you're eating poison. That's all. And as long as you know that, and you're cool with it,
have a couple drinks, you're ingesting
100%.
Poison,
right?
Oh yeah, I'm cool with it.
Yeah,
it is venereal disease.
See, Sarah was proud of
right.
being the #1 spokesperson for venereal disease.
Are you a VD spreader?
I am. No, I'm too celibate for
VD spreader #1. Does that mean there's a #2? Are there more than one?
How would you not like if that was your gig and you were #2 in VD spreading? Like that's a little embarrassing.
You gotta amp up
Let's
your
change
game.
gears. This is terrible. This is going off the rails.
The internet
Sarah,
is
you're
snip this
negatively
apart.
influencing us.
Don't get a VD. I'm keeping my #1 spot.
Okay, moving on. Don't even recognize that. Don't even.
I'm
you read
so
it already.
confused.
Go ahead.
I don't understand.
What else?
I don't know what you're talking about. You ever watch The Sopranos?
Yeah, I love
My
Sopranos.
husband and I, we started watching it from the beginning again. We're almost done. But we always impersonate Tony Soprano's mother. And if one of us says something weird, the other goes, I don't know what you're talking about.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I think
mom.
Tony Soprano was the first villain that I connected with. And I felt dirty about liking Tony as much as I did. But then I liked Dexter, and then I liked Mike from Kingstown.
Sons of Anarchy?
Then Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
And then Harry from Mobtown. Like every one of my heroes now is a badass bad person. I'm a villain.
Really got into Jax Teller, and I'm like, why am I rooting for a criminal?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at him.
I was gonna say it's because he's hot. So I don't think Harry's hot. I don't think
Tony Soprano is not hot.
Right. But what's appealing about a villain who's like got his shit together?
You know why I want him to succeed?
Why?
Because if he doesn't, the show ends. And the show is very gripping.
Okay.
But yeah, there were scenes where like the FBI raided something and Tony's got to run, and you're like, run, bastard, run!
Yeah.
Like,
see,
get out of there.
I want more characters like Ned Stark. Like that should be
Stark.
Do you remember the opening scene of Game of Thrones?
I never watched Game of Thrones.
Oh my goodness.
I know, I never have seen it. But speaking of Mayor of Kingstown, I meant to tell you, I just saw on Facebook yesterday, they are shooting an episode in Pittsburgh. And they're looking for paid extras.
Nice.
Like $250 to go be a background actor in that show. I was.
Are you a fan of the show?
I've never seen it. I was this close to applying, and then I was like, well, maybe I should see the show.
And this is sort of on my goals list where the premise is, if you haven't seen the show, this is sort of what it's about. It's a guy who's called the mayor, right? And so you have the actual mayor of Kingstown, which is the politically elected person that does all the executive branch responsibilities for Kingstown. But then you have the guy that is connected, and he keeps the peace in this otherwise chaotic town where there are gangs and there's drugs and there's crime that's happening. And his job is to facilitate and engineer the peace and make it like it's going to be bad. He makes it as less bad as possible by his connection. So I aspire to be the mayor of Youngstown. Not the politically elected
the actual
version.
Mayor.
I want to be the mayor of Youngstown like Mike McCloskey is.
Keep the peace as much as possible, knowing it's impossible to have peace.
Yeah. Just the best version of the peace that you can achieve.
I mean, I feel like we do that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what we do.
Yeah. And in this world where everything's terrible, you almost have to expect that it's going to be bad no matter what. And you want the best version of bad that you can get. It's the opposite of utopia. Like right now, I am Sir Joseph, right? I'm Sir Joseph, and I'm going to write Utopia version 2.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to write the ideal society where everything is rainbows and unicorns, right? I'm going to write the one that is understood and accepted by the masses as like, if you're going to have if you're going to have corruption, let's just have the best corruption, right? You're going to have it anyway, so might as well have one that is best. And so I will reinvent the mafia of Youngstown, Ohio. Yeah,
kind of like vigilantism.
That's it. Good, bad.
Like you're not supposed to be doing this, but you do it, and it's actually
it's what
better
makes things
than.
Work. And Julius Oliver had, he brought he just asked the question, right? He said, "Was Youngstown better under the mafia?" Okay, and he got a lot of hell for this, but it is a curious question to be able to ask,
Mm.
because you might disagree that the corruption shouldn't even be possible, but were people taken care of? Did things work better? Did somehow they arrived at solutions that should not even be possible? I would say it was an undertaking that mysteriously worked out for a lot of people. And there's a lot of people who would say, bring the mob times back, because it worked better than this stupid brain dead system that we're under right now.
Was that kind of Sons of Anarchy as well?
100%.
They were criminals, but not affecting just normal
right. They had a code, just like Dexter, right? Dexter kills people.
They
and
were
like,
messing around with other criminals.
Killing people is bad. And it's like, oh, I only kill really bad people. And you're like, maybe killing's not so bad anyway. So as long as you have principles of the villain, that you know that they have a code that they're undertaking, and you're like, it's better than we have right now.
Boondock Saints.
Yes, right.
St. Patrick's Day is coming up. Me and my family, every St. Patrick's Day, we watch Boondock Saints together.
Yeah.
And they're even like involving God and religion in it, but still killing people.
Yeah, killing people. But you root for them.
You do, yeah.
And my son has not seen Boondock Saints. I've seen it a million times, and every time I watch it, it makes me like, I want to do a metaphor for going and killing people. I don't necessarily think I want to take the jump at taking life, because it would fly in the face of lots of my principles, but still, I want to do my version of it that's similar. Has
your son not seen it yet because he's been too young? It's pretty
I get pushback from my wife about what I expose him to. Like, I was, like The Shining to me is a literary masterpiece, right? And so the minute that I felt he would appreciate it, I wanted to show it to him. And the 10-year-old version of my kid, my wife is like, what are you letting him watch? Right? And I'm like, the literary masterpiece that is The Shining. And she was like, he's too young for that. So I'm waiting, like I'm pushing on the boundaries of what I should expose my kids to that way.
Yeah. I wonder about that a lot too. And I saw horror movies at a young age.
Yes.
Like, I had a good friend of mine. We used to have sleepovers like every other weekend, and our parents would let us rent horror films. And I feel like I turned out all right.
Yeah.
Well, my daughter, she just turned 12. And I do feel more confident and comfortable with her watching things than my son. He just, I don't know. He's 10, but he just feels very more like a baby to me. I don't know. But it's funny. Like, my daughter and I watched The Beast and Me together. It's probably not for a 12-year-old. But I would say, look away. On the very violent parts, I would make her cover her eyes.
Well, as a kid, like, let's just take two morally suspect movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dirty Dancing. Right. Well, I'll give you three: Dirty Dancing, Grease, and Poltergeist. All of those came about the same time, which would put you in the spectrum of when did you see those three morally suspect movies? 12, 13, 14?
Pretty young. Probably.
Okay. Yeah. So you were okay. Like, they were probably like, Poltergeist shook me to the core. Like, that was one that I probably saw too early, but it still made an impression on me. Dirty Dancing and Grease was just like really crude humor and not something that you want to expose your kid to before they need to. But all of those, I asked my wife, how old were you? She said 13, right? So you had that kind of exposure.
How about The Exorcist?
Well, I never saw The Exorcist. Not a single time.
Get out.
Never saw The Exorcist.
You've never seen the original
Never.
1970 whatever Exorcist?
Nope.
Joe Danyi, homework assignment this weekend.
Yeah.
Homework assignment.
Okay.
Watch. It takes a while to get going. It's a long beginning.
So you read volume 1 and volume 2 of Utopia.
Tell
me, do the book report, because this is 1 year in the making that I suggested that you read this brilliant literature, and we'll push on everything you believe, and we'll have a discussion about it, and then I'll watch The Exorcist.
No, watch The Exorcist first, because that would be far faster.
I made the request first.
Faster
Utopia,
for you to watch a movie than to me to read that.
Utopia is a very easy read.
The Exorcist is a classic you should have seen by now.
Yeah, October. I'll for sure, no matter what. I think it's going to be every bit of October before you read Utopia, so I'm safe in watching it on October.
And I even, the last St. Patrick's Day when we put on Boondock Saints, my daughter was around, and I think we were even like, you can sit and watch it with us if you want. And she was disinterested. She left. She didn't care. But there's a lot of F words and a lot of violence and a lot of I know. I have been concerned, like, oh, what am I exposing my kid? Like, my kid's like Family Guy, and I'm like, that's probably not good.
Well, the difference is if you have a real interrogation with your kid, the exposure that they've had at this point outside of you is way beyond what you could throw at them. For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not new. They're like,
yeah, like they already know about everything they're seeing. And I'm like, how do you know
just do a proper
this?
interrogation and know where they're actually at. And they're hiding that from you because they don't want you to know how much they know. But just have an open dialogue.
Yeah, like sometimes we'll be watching something and there'll be like a sexual innuendo or joke. And my husband and I will kind of laugh. My daughter will kind of laugh. And my son will always say, I don't get it. I'm like, good, baby, good. Don't. You don't get this. You stay sweet and innocent.
Okay. So you're watching a movie and just you can't help it. But those scenes come up where, there's sex under the sheets, right? And they're watching it. They know what's going on and you don't talk about it. You hold your breath while it's happening and hopefully you just get beyond it, right?
Yeah.
What about like a boob show? Like somebody shows some bare breasts on the screen. Like, do you know it's coming? Do you look up the reviews to see if there's any displays that way?
I don't look it up ahead of time. No.
Okay.
If it was just they're showing their boobs, my daughter would probably be like, roll her eyes, and my son would go, ew, and he'd walk away.
Okay. That's a good reaction. That's
Yeah.
a good response.
Yeah. If I know it's coming, I'll probably be like, look away. Don't watch this. But if I don't know it's coming and they see it, they're pretty unfazed by that.
You know what I do?
Have the talk. They know what sex is.
Yeah. I think that the goal is to not react to it whatsoever because it's not the first exposure and it won't be the last exposure. And if you just take it in as like it's no big deal, then they will too, and they won't make it a big deal.
Yeah. But I make them look away at extreme violence. Like someone was just brutally bludgeoned to death. They're killed and there's blood and guts.
All right, so here
I make them look away.
I have a very bad gag reflex.
Really?
So I was working on AI over the weekend and I was listening to podcasts and there was one guy I listened to. He's a property recovery agent. And basically he goes into homes that investors buy and then there's usually squatters there and that's terrible circumstances and whatever. And I was just listening. I wasn't even watching anything. And the guy investigated the basement and the homeowner, whoever was squatting there, had a dog and he would throw all of the feces in the basement. And the guy started going down in the basement and he was like, it smells so ridiculous. And he went outside and he started like gagging and vomiting.
Yeah.
And I had to step away and pause it. Like I started
my
gagging
husband's
and
like
whatever.
that.
So bad.
Yeah. He can't hear it. He can't be around it. And he can do the grossest things. Like he works with dogs and feces. And like even when our kids were babies, he could change the nastiest diaper that would make me puke. But he says anything out of the mouth or nose
makes me want to puke as well.
He can't
There's
take that.
certain things I can't do. There's a mental block when it comes to that kind of stuff. So if I saw a movie that depicted things that were too gross to handle, like I might have a response that.
So interesting. I just saw a video about this the other day and I totally related. So if you see someone vomiting, it makes you want to do it. What if you see somebody crying? Do your eyes tear up?
No.
Mine will.
Yeah.
Mine will. And I'm not even, sometimes maybe I'm feeling like empathy or sympathy for them, but it could be a situation like a movie where I'm not personally connected. I'm not on their level emotionally or empathizing with them. I'm just seeing their eyes water and it will make my eyes water.
Yeah. And that is one of the check boxes. If you ever wanted to figure out if you were a woman, right? There's a checkbox to say, do you cry during movies if you see someone else crying?
Why is it different that you vomit if they vomited, but your eyes won't water if their eyes are watering?
Reflex. Your body is trying to defend against things that are dangerous, and your brain will process things that even if they're not real, you can get your brain conjured into thinking that you too are in danger and you need to expel things from your stomach. I love that my body is willing to do that and protect me from ingesting or smelling or something that's going to make me sick.
So couldn't my body see someone crying and think, oh, Is this what we should be doing? Okay.
Should I be sad too? Yeah.
But I won't even feel sad.
Right.
It's just a
Right.
physical reaction.
Right. I didn't ingest any poisons either, but your brain's
Yeah.
like, maybe I should be sad too. Mine just doesn't do that.
So puking's okay. Tearing up,
puking's
not
okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how you know you're a woman. Well, here's how you know
Yes.
if you're a misogynist
Yes, I'm ready.
or narcissist.
Go ahead. Ready.
Puking's okay and tearing up
No,
is not.
that is illogical as can be. That's just again checkbox number 2. Is you take a
Where's Julie? She would love
scientific
that.
fact that if you put things through illogical, a process of illogic, then you check that box. That you've proved twice.
Carter says so much for my breakfast.
Yes,
now.
I'm sorry, Carter. I know talking about gross things.
I know Julie would be on my
Dude,
side.
why
Is she
are
on
you
vacation?
eating breakfast at 9:21? It's awful late for breakfast.
Maybe he does intermittent fasting. Maybe he works off hours and he just woke up.
I was just a question. Like he doesn't have to be.
Where's
offended.
Julie? Is she on vacation? Because she would have loved my
listen,
comment.
these
just then.
I have to put it in the viewers and listeners court at this point. We've been fairly abusive to our audience these last couple shows. We've been
disagree.
we've been fairly.
I think we've been abused.
I've had contempt for a lot of what was said, and I think we were a little irrational and a little too. I don't know, a little too aggressive with them. So I want to apologize.
Do you have an example?
I want to apologize for the two of us, even though Kelin will not apologize because of
I'm
that
not
narcissism.
apologizing.
That I think that I
I'm
will
a
apologize
narcissist.
for the group. That we went a little bit over the top on our condemnation for some of the ideas because we want conversations.
This is
I don't-
gaslighting, is what this
I
is.
don't want our listeners and viewers to think that when they throw an idea out, all we're going to do is shoot it down and like really make it a personal thing. So feel free, disagree, and instead of like, it's your tone more than anything. Your tone says it all. It's not what you say; it's how you say.
Oh,
it.
yesterday I took a very snarky tone at
yes,
one
you
point
did.
on
One
purpose.
of which you haven't done in the years that we've been doing this.
Right. So why did I do it?
Because
And you're saying this was out of character for me. So what brought it on?
yeah, it's a highly emotional state, and you have pushback, and you took things personally rather than taking like a third-party perspective on it. Let's just say they didn't say it to you. They're like, Kelin, you're stupid, right? And you're like, let's talk about when other people call other people stupid rather than that person calling me stupid. That's a different conversation
If
to be
you're
had.
if you go into a kindergarten class
Yeah.
and you're talking to children,
Yeah.
would you use a different tone and way of speaking than you would if you addressed people on a college campus?
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Okay. And that's fine. That's what I am apologizing for. I'm not condemning you because it wasn't warranted. I'm saying
Okay. As long
that
as you agree it was warranted.
you need to take our weaker personalities, the listeners out there that are too delicate to hear things that we say, and their fetal position, they got tears running down their eyes, and they're like, I'm not listening
This
to
is
Kelin
you doing
anymore.
it. You're doing it too.
Kelin, I'm not listening to her anymore because she's just so damn mean. I want to invite those people back and let them know that we'll be more accommodating. We'll look out for the emotional well-being more. This is a safe space.
We'll let you
This is a
come
safe
and be
space.
rude to us, and we'll just take it.
Yeah, well, but
We'll
no,
just let
we
you
won't
be rude
take it.
and
But we'll
disrespectful.
de-emotionalize. We'll put it more through a more robotic filter.
We'll be the bigger people.
Yeah, exactly. That's the promise for at least the next 26 minutes.
And that's all you got. So
Yeah.
you better get it in now.
Get it out.
That's what she said. So Jeremy says Luke Schuster is a premium member of Mr. Skin. He knows all the good boob scenes.
Do you remember Mr. Skin?
I've heard of this.
So-
I've never actually seen it.
So there was a movie, and I don't remember the title of the movie. And there were a bunch of like college age guys that were working on a website.
yeah.
And basically they were trying to, was it Baby Mama?
Or-
Something like
was it? Yeah, where
Something
they're
like
like so many. Oh no, it was yeah, they're like so many minutes in. You see, it's was it Knocked Up?
Knocked Up. That was it.
Yeah, the
That was
movie
it.
Knocked Up.
Knocked Up. And then they worked on
Yeah.
this website, and they were all like playing ping pong, and they're like stoners in the backyard.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they found that a site that already did what they were trying to do, and it was better than theirs. It's perfect. So yeah,
Knocked
Mr.
Up,
Skin. I don't know if that
yeah.
was a real site. Jeremy might know better.
I'm sure there's stuff like
If
that.
it appears in a movie, it will be a real thing, even if it won't.
You know
wasn't
what
on
I
there.
did? Because again, I'm just not. I just don't enjoy reading. I will do it, but it's not my favorite.
Okay.
And When 50 Shades of Grey came out, everybody was all about 50 Shades of Grey. Oh, this book, you got to read 50 Shades of Grey. And, ooh, it's got, it's risque and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm not reading this whole thing. I'm just not. I started it and I couldn't. So I Googled the dirty parts.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, where's the good
All right,
stuff?
so I'm thinking the depiction that was on the screen where you can see abs and you can see gyrations were what was appealing to it. And then you'd have to use your imagination if it was in word format, and just wasn't good enough. It didn't spike that dopamine like
I wanted to get right to the point. Like I said, The Exorcist.
Right.
Love that movie. First, I don't know, 10 minutes maybe. You need it because it's setting up context of things you'll see later in the film, but it's pretty dry.
Okay.
And you're like, can we just get to the devil part and the scariness?
Okay.
But you do need
I'm gonna
setup.
mask what I'm asking you right now, but still answer it like knowing how you decodified this.
Decodified.
When there are certain kind of movies or content, right, that depict adults doing adult things, there are parts that are not why you came there. So you can fast forward to the parts that really are why you came to the table, right?
Yeah.
Do you fast forward and get to those parts so you can get the duty done, or are you one that let all of the, I'm going to call it foreplay, but it's sort of
the build up.
The build up.
Yeah, no.
Do you let the build up and then take your the whole emotional journey with the characters?
Yeah, no, I would never actually fast forward. No, I
Really?
need that build up. Yes,
Really?
I need the full story. I
All
want
right,
to watch.
third checkbox that you are a woman. It has been confirmed. It's more than three
Listen,
checkboxes.
if you don't understand by now that women need build up and you can't go straight for it, then that's something you should really learn.
Why? Why?
We'll have a talk after, and we'll talk about the birds and the bees.
Okay. Listen, when I have my android that will give in
You're
to
like,
all of
"No
my
build up,
carnal,
that's all I need."
carnal lust, right? There's
Yeah.
no build up. It's kind of like, hey Joe, would you take it slow? I'm gonna be like, no, I got 15 minutes.
You're like, screw you and what you want.
Right. And then all the
Wow.
women are like, well, maybe I should let him speed through and fast forward the hairy parts.
I've always
The
heard
hairy parts. I like.
women are ovens and men are microwaves.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
Right. I mean, it is. How does procreation even happen? If you take two different beings that are different in every way, how does it even freaking happen? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, it really truly must come down to like biology and our animalistic instincts. Like deep down, we are just ingrained with a sense of this happens. This is natural for survival or whatever. We got to get it done. And the male species are like, well, can I just get it done? And the female are like, well, no, you need to buy me a drink first and tell me I'm pretty and rub my shoulders. And they're like, what?
And then there's some kind of compromise in the middle.
But I think not every time too. I think sometimes women are able to just, and maybe men want to cuddle a little bit. So there are exceptions.
Okay.
But it gets done because deep down, that's instinctively
instinct.
what we
Yeah.
do. Yeah. We're all animals. You and me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals. So let's remember that song.
I do.
That was a good era. 90s, 2000s. That was the last good era, in my opinion. Those were the days.
So what series are you watching on the daily, TV wise?
I'm about to finish The Sopranos.
Okay.
I have a couple left. I did the mini series Beast and Me. Finished that. We recently finished The Chosen. So I don't have another one in the hopper yet.
Okay.
We gotta wait.
There's some good ones out there.
Yeah.
And I will give credit to all of the streaming platforms that for a while there, everything is unwatchable. Everything has a LGBTQ thing. It was too lectury. There was no entertainment value.
Yeah.
It's during that COVID era. It's like they bought all of the themed ones and it took us like a year and a half to get all those shitty ones out of the queue. And now
Yeah.
we've kind of returned to what viewers actually liked. Viewers didn't like that. I don't know if Disney Plus was probably the worst offender. Okay. Because their business model was they have amusement parks, they have their television, they have their movies, they have their animations, right? And then they wanted their streaming service to really hit, right? And they had some woke jerkwad that was in charge of streaming. And they're like, oh, I've got this platform and I'm going to appeal to all the people who like XYZ. And there's only 5 of them, but we're going to build it all around them. And then the old CEO came back and said, unless we want to lose money for eternity, we're not going to do this anymore. And the lead time was about an hour and a half. So after he took back over, that I watched still some of the, the Rachel Zegler and all of that still go through the queue. I was like, man, he didn't change shit. It's still terrible programming, totally lecturing stuff. And then all of a sudden it stopped, right? I don't know. Did you see Ted Cruz was, they were in a hearing with one of the Netflix CEOs or one of the people in charge of Netflix. And he asked me, he said 50%, or maybe it was Holly. Maybe it was Holly. But he said 50% of the content that comes out of Netflix has a theme of transgenderism. 50 effing
I did see this meeting. I didn't watch it, but I did see that this was happening.
50% of the content. Like, that's really bought into a minority issue that only appeals to a segment of the viewing public. Like, I know liberal white women were all about it because they feel, they feel like that's their thing. They want to be the cultural warrior on behalf of people who aren't them.
And that's kind of it. Like, do you feel like we're kind of entering a period now where we almost have like activism fatigue?
Yes.
Like, I saw a comedian, it was so funny, a reel just this morning, where he's like, we are aware. Everybody wants to raise awareness. Let's raise awareness for this. Let's raise awareness for that. I'm raising awareness for this. And he's like, we're aware. We're well aware. I'd like to be a little less aware. I am so aware that I'm aware of everything. And I just need, like, it's that fatigue of like, everything is activism. Everything is raising awareness. Everything is proving this point. And it's like we talked about, I don't want to hear celebrities on the Grammys or Oscars talk about politics because I have political fatigue. I just want entertainment. And when you turn to a streaming platform that shows movies and shows and entertainment, and you're pushed with that activism again, you're like, can I just check out for a minute? Can I just be shown things that are funny and interesting and thrilling? And it's like that. That's the only thing I could think of is maybe like activism fatigue. I think we're all
getting. They overplayed their hand. They took something that could make you pay attention. They overplayed it to make now an insensitivity to it. You're not a bad person if you don't want to hear about whatever the newest social cause is, because you don't have time to be outraged by a million things. Right? Looking out at the world, if you're believing what you see on social media, that the world, you agree with me, that the world is terrible and there's no hope for us. And so what's left to do other than be, sort of in the army of pushing back against what the illusion that the world's so bad. Right.
Yeah.
I would, I appreciate that people are willing to leave their house and go in the cold and stand up for something they believe in. The problem is they're not smart enough to get the ingredients list of the things that are important that they should stand up against. They are feeding their ego, but standing up for things that, bring, we'll say, like a Hollywood actress, right? Nobody's paying attention to me. So I'm going to convert both my children to the opposite sex. And then everybody pays attention to you, right? Like, look how brave this mom is to fulfilling their kids' dreams and desires. Look how noble. And everybody claps at you and everybody gives you, they look up to you, right? But then they're like, if that's 1 or 2, no big deal. Then okay, you did it. But if everybody does it, if it's just a trend where it's like, oh, okay, you got 2 kids and you're in Hollywood, have you transitioned them yet, kind of thing, and then it becomes the butt of a joke, it goes too far, and then those people who thought that it was a very noble gesture, all of a sudden are like, why aren't anybody taking me serious? Because you overplayed the hand. Nobody believes that every kid that a Hollywood actor has is automatically born in the wrong body and is transgender, right? It's a fad. It's a contagion, right? And the public are like, yeah, you went too far, right? And then we're bought out. And as soon as we bought out, now you have 2 choices, right? Go back on and say, I went too far, or condemn me now for not paying attention to that my 3rd kid is absolutely born in the wrong body.
And then here's what leads to the fatigue. Perfect example. Rose, you want the orange fascist pedo to continue feeding you the lying word. What does that have to do with anything we're talking about? Like, we can talk about activism fatigue and content that we're trying to watch for entertainment purposes, shoving ideas in our face, and someone's got to bring up Trump and hate on Trump. And I'm like,
okay, let me talk you down
What?
from this ledge, because this is where you get snarky.
I'm not snarky.
You're beat up.
I am allowed to make a point.
You're beat up by this.
Exactly what I'm talking
Your
about.
listeners are baiting you, right? They know what's going to get you
That's
off
my
kilter,
point.
right?
That's my point.
So don't do it.
Oh my gosh. My point is, here's an example of what I'm talking about.
Yes.
The fatigue, the not listening, like you said,
Mhm.
the looking for the fights. Here's an example of it.
Okay.
What I'm pointing out.
All right, let's pass on it.
VJ says,
Good.
don't you know if you don't want to talk about what they want you to talk about, then you're the problem for not talking about it. Get with the program,
See,
Kelin.
it's agreed. Like
That's
this
exactly
is the
it.
world against Kelin. It really is.
Yeah. I have learned, and I was just having this discussion with someone too. It's very difficult to put anything on the internet about anything. And it doesn't even have to be politics. That's kind of the key hot button right now. But you could be like, oh, well, I'm going to stay out of anything controversial, and I'm just going to talk about my otter videos because they're cute. And I bet you'll get, oh, why, you hate all other animals? You're exploiting otters for your own personal gain? Like, that's how the internet works, is everything's a fight, everything's a pushback. And if you say, well, you know what? Here's a middle ground. I do see both sides of this discussion or this argument or this topic. And I could see how somebody would look and feel this way, and I could see how they would do this. And then you'll get hate for that. How dare you be middle ground? This isn't middle ground. You pick a side, and then I'm going to fight with you over that side. And this is where that fatigue comes in. Like,
everything's a fight.
You have to say what they want you to say. Yep. If you don't say what they want,
well, as soon as I tell you that's the era we live in, just be prepared to fight every day of your life, and don't be surprised and outraged every time a fight happens, because that's where we're at.
Or fight every day of your life, or totally disconnect, which is like what we're saying. Where I'm not going to watch your streaming stuff, and I'm not going to watch your award shows, and I'm not going to watch this because we're fatigued. We're over it.
Right.
We're
and then
over
that
it.
causes people, you think of the boardroom and Disney, and like, people aren't watching our shit. Like, we're not getting subscriptions. It's not where we need to be. Then there's one guy, the content guy, raises his hand and says, hey, should we change the content? Maybe go back to more traditional things. Maybe it'll appeal to a broader audience, and maybe people would subscribe because they will go along with the brand that we've established over the last 120 years. Let's do that. And then all the woke people are like, no, we can't do that. We have activism to do. But there's one guy that says, hey, guys, I don't care either side of this. But if you want what you want, which is more people to watch, and you want what you want, which is let's get rid of the shit that people don't even care about, let's just worry about end result product, right? And we'll go to focus groups. We'll take a sampling of people who aren't ultra woke. They're just traditional, main part of our audience, and see what they like. And once we know what they like, let's just give it to them. Let's not get hung up on what we want them to have. Let's just give them what they want, and be more viewers in a group where we're delivering. So if you came in and said, I'm really hungry for lasagna, and I really want you to have escargot, I really do. I think it would be good for you, right? And I'm like, you're hungry. I can try to bring you over to my side and say, hey, I know you want lasagna. Lasagna is probably not a great meal for you today, but escargot has all of the proteins that you need for today, right? You need escargot. And then you get to say, no, I would like lasagna. And I say, okay, well, I tried. I tried to invite you into the escargot realm. You still want lasagna. Now, if I put escargot in front of you, will you eat it? And you're like, maybe the first time, but if you give me escargot more than once, like, I'm out. I'm just going to go to another restaurant. I'm going to go to another provider. And when I leave, here's what I don't want you to say. I didn't tell you what I wanted, right? I'm telling you right now, if you try to force escargot on me, I'm going to leave. And then the reasonable person in the boardroom finally gets some acknowledgement that he was right all along. And then the Disney people, the woke people, get dispatched, kicked out of the room. And the adults get to kind of play with content because it's based on subscribers. If you have an audience of 0 or if you have an audience of low numbers and you want an audience of high numbers, then you have to do the thing that the most people want to consume.
Thomas says, was that escargot in the Epstein files?
Was it? Was escargot
I don't know. I think they're probably saying like, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and take your example and make it about this. And
thank you,
funny.
Thomas. That was, thank you.
That's exactly how the internet works.
Rose, here, I just want to appeal to you real quick that you have two reasonable, thank you, sir. You have two reasonable hosts that are not bought into any political persuasion, and at any point you can make an appeal for one direction or another. We don't live on taglines or bumper stickers or, something that somebody told us to parrot, right? We are reasonable. So you can always appeal to us.
That's what they don't like.
Yeah.
They don't like that.
We're objective.
You better be on one side or
we,
the other.
We are not, and we will never be. We don't aspire to be. And, nobody can convince us to go there because it's a terrible.
You're not the boss of me and you can't make me.
No, not at all. All right. What else? Because I took us down some weird paths there.
Have you ever actually had escargot?
Yeah.
I never have.
Yeah.
Is it good?
I'm pretty bougie.
You are bougie. Is it good?
Escargot's okay.
My kids got called, they didn't get called bougie before, but it was funny. That's kind of what the server meant because my daughter can't have gluten. And so when we go out to eat, she's pretty limited sometimes. Like any kid's menu is usually a lot of fried foods. And other than maybe a salad, her options are typically like steak or like ribs or things of that nature. And so we were out to dinner one time and something she ordered, it was like a lobster or steak or something higher end that you would not expect a child to order. And even the server's like, dang, your kids are, I was like, bougie. Yeah. But it's only because there was literally nothing else for her to eat. I couldn't really fault her for that, but.
I think it was Airplane, like the girl that maybe it was an Airplane. I watched a lot of spoof movies in that era.
Yeah.
But like you have the prim and proper 8-year-old who dresses to the tens and
I'll have sparkling water.
Yeah. Can I have some champagne? Like,
yeah.
I like that caricature that they created to be able to lampoon in that era. And she went off the rails, I believe, after the I'm bougie went right to outspoken and off the rails. But anyway.
Bougie.
We didn't talk about the Epstein files from the 3 million page release, did we?
No, and I have not heard a whole lot about this.
Okay.
I know something was released.
Yeah.
And then I keep hearing that it's a whole bunch of names of like people all over the world.
Right.
Not so much here, but
all right. So this is sort of Joe's opinion, right, of where I think everything is at, and it has been unchanged since the very beginning. So basically, when you have something like this where you have hidden files, and then everybody thinks they know what's going to be in them, and when they're released, everybody basically gang tackles the information and tries to fit it in the narrative, whatever they thought to be, because they wanted to be right. They wanted to say who was at fault, who did their thing. Now, in the justice system, it works a little bit different.
You sound like the beginning of Law and Order just then.
Yeah.
In the criminal justice system.
You are innocent until proven guilty.
Squirrel.
So when I look through a trove of data of 3 million pages, there's not a single person that had a new opinion on things that read all 3 million pages. So it was delivered to you with the people who took excerpts and wanted to give you part of the narrative to make you feel a certain way that, sort of like helped you in your argument of what was going on. Now, Joe's original thing is, here's the deal. We're talking about 20-year-old crime that was committed by a person that, again, Joe's opinion, was part of a very corrupt government operation, right? A guy that made no sense in the finance industry, was adopted by plenty of government agencies, both domestic and international, and he played a role in either blackmail or leveraging or data collection or whatnot.
Is it true he was like a teacher or something? He wasn't even in...
He was a consultant. Like he worked in finance, Bear Stearns, before it went down for the count.
He was never a teacher?
Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he taught lectures and whatever as a professor. I wouldn't be surprised, but that was not part of where I felt he played in the role of things. So our government has been doing shady deals for as long as the CIA's been alive, right? Doing things internationally and using assets within the United States to be able to make that stuff happen. And it's all been stuff that had no oversight up until 50s, 60s. And then we had committees that in Congress that would look at our intelligence and kind of guide and have oversight. So they couldn't get away with, shady deals. Like in the Obama era, we traded guns with an enemy and sold them as part of a law enforcement operations on the books, right? It's something that is an operation, but by any standard, it was illegal activity where we were arming enemies for, to create a situation that benefited the United States. So why they did it, and nobody would look at it and say that this is above board, right? Doesn't feel like it's above where United States should be. But so anyway, so I truly believe that Epstein was an asset of intelligence gathering and leveraging our enemies. He was pivotal in roles where he collected situations that could have kept people from doing or saying certain things and keeping a grasp on, tight-lippedness, right? And so if you take what I'm saying and say, okay, let's assume that is true, if there was things that came to light that never should have come to light, and you have to prosecute someone who can't tell any of the stories because he was part of a legitimate operation, you would get a sense for when data collection happened, it wasn't treated like a real law enforcement deal, right? There would be stuff that would be put in the file that was part of, to show that you were going through the motions of an investigation. But there's going to be some people protected who can't be, right? They can't be, the public cannot be told about what it is that they did. And we have everything from presidential with the Nixon era and the Reagan era, Iran-Contra, like all of this stuff lends into the fact that our government does shady dealings that we'll never know about. And if we get any information about what happened, it will be just a morsel, because the people that are in control would have made all of the stuff that went against national security. It would have been long burned long ago. So really what we're left with is we had government operations through Epstein, and have a bunch of data that somebody's already parsed through to make sure that nobody who was part of that operation will ever be known that they were part of that operation. And so what we get is a bunch of like fodder, things to keep us talking. Like there's an element that if you went to a place where bad things are happening, you must have been involved in whatever. And I don't wholly believe that. I don't think, a couple of them, like the Prince, right, probably did some shady shit and he went down for the count. Bill Gates, like that was a bad one. And those, those are pretty incriminating when it comes to that. The Elon Musk, that was pretty apparent that he was vindicated as not having partaken. President Trump, like there's nothing that I read that says that he was, involved directly with anything, but knowing the era that this all went down and what role that he played, I wouldn't be surprised if I just have not been given anything that makes me say, yeah, this was Trump circa, 1990. And I wouldn't be surprised if, he did that. But anyway, it's so again, there's nothing that would pass like a legal muster where we can point at a guy aside from Prince Andrew, aside from Bill Gates, and say, you were there, you were guilty of X, Y, Z. It's all speculative. And, I like to wait until 3 million documents have gone through like millions of people's scrutiny and deliver the finer points of that scrutiny. So people who wanted to be all Democrats and people who wanted to be all Republicans, and give me the sum of everything that you found out that's incriminating. And now I'm waiting for that pile.
So there was something incriminating with Bill Gates?
Yeah.
And did Bill Gates ever have any repercussion?
Well, it makes, I don't know, and you don't know, and nobody knows. But basically the evidence is that Bill Gates, we already kind of knew that he had some involvement. He went to the island, which in of itself is not incriminating. And then there was an email that Bill Gates asking Epstein for some antibiotics because he caught some kind of venereal disease from being with somebody.
VD.
Right. But
Yikes.
Here's what makes me think, like, you're Bill Gates, you're already billionaire, right? You went and had a weekend soiree and had underage girls and you picked something up. Why would you go back to Epstein and ask for antibiotics? Isn't something that you could
and
with your
document it in writing
in an email, right?
Knowing how the internet works.
Right. I would have gone to a a doctor who I could buy his confidence and his discretion and get treated for venereal disease.
Yeah, you could go to a doctor and just say it was any.
So that's why it lends it in a little bit that if this was an operation for leverage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Making it feel and keeping people under control means that email might not have ever come from Bill Gates. It would have been orchestrated to be able to keep control of Bill Gates, and his actions were controlled, or else I'll release this email. Because shortly after that, Belinda divorced him, right? So you have this chronology of he went there a bunch of times. We knew about that. An email says that he caught a VD when he was there and asking for antibiotics, and then Melinda divorcing him. So that tracks fully, but I just don't buy the middle part where the reaction from it was, I got a VD. Let's go back to the guy that gave me the girl and make him responsible for giving me antibiotics to treat my venereal disease. That part didn't make sense.
Odd.
Yeah.
So so you're saying then this idea that Epstein wasn't really just sort of a self-powerful person that got other people involved, but he was kind of created.
He was created
from bigger entities.
Yes.
So then, is there any doubt Epstein's not dead?
Well, one of the pictures was that they had an Epstein in swim trunks, and he has this tattoo band around his left arm, right? And they have autopsy photos of him laying on with the neck brace on and a couple of tubes connected to him. And you look at his left arm, and there's no tattoo on his left arm. So suspicion is that
I was wondering if we do have any proof of him being dead, like a body or something.
Right.
You're saying there's a picture?
There's a picture of the autopsy photo without the tattoo that he had on his left arm. And that's why the suspicion is that when they killed Jeffrey Epstein, that it was somebody who was not Jeffrey Epstein that could pass as Jeffrey Epstein, and he's still alive somewhere. So,
or a doctored photo.
Yeah, and that's why when you start getting into crazy town conspiracyville, like this is on purpose. Like the CIA is the master at public perception manipulation and giving you like, okay, well, here's the truth. We're going to keep you up here conspiring and talking about this and never dig down. We're going to give you the salacious stuff so you keep all your attention there. And we don't want you to ever get down to the layers of the actual truth. So I'm not buying all of it.
Oh, I could tell from the very beginning of this how it's so secretive. And here's just a little information, and then we pull back, and a little more information, and then we pull back. It's like, this is a game.
For sure.
100%
a game.
If this was cut and dry, bad guys versus good guys, and we're going to make sure that we throw the book at these bad guys, that would have happened by now.
Right.
But it's been this game, this dance of little bit of info and a little not, and does this make sense or doesn't it, and this politician was in it and this politician was in it, or they were vindicated though. It's all a game.
Yeah, but the people who are participating now have no sense of history, and it's just fun for them to try to dig superficially through new data and make these kind of connections on their own, and opinions are fun that way. I'm still, like I said, I'm more of look at the absolute truth of things. And I told you from the beginning that if we have, we'll say Iran-Contra, and we had the gun runnings of Fast and Furious, and we had the Ayatollahs, and we have the moon landing, and we have, all these things that were not given to the public legitimately and just allowed to have JFK assassinations. Like all of these things have always lived in the zeitgeist of speculation.
Diana.
Right.
Yeah.
But we never, ever know. And because the people that are in charge of it are in control of the information. So the stuff that we really are interested, I guarantee you, does not exist. The only things that exist are the curated stuff to keep you active, to talking about it forever. Yeah. Did we ever find crashed alien spacecraft in Nevada? Did we? Right. We're fascinated with one part.
Yeah.
But
Area 51.
If
what's
experts
in there?
have leaked over the years that there are things, there are reverse engineered things, there are bodies, biological bodies that were captured and analyzed, like all this stuff, that's the good stuff. Everything we get is things above that where all you have to say is like, I'm suspicious, but I still don't know anything.
Yeah, it's like we're all part of like one big reality TV show.
Right. And we're the goons, like we're the dummies.
We're watching ourselves.
Right.
And we're arguing with each other like this is real
It's
life
exactly
and this
right.
is real information. And it's like, it's what they give us.
But I think they're going to go too far. I think in this era of information, they're going to overplay the hand of what they can keep from the public, and they're going to go too far where they get public who has zero trust in the authorities of government. Like okay, we'll use the analogy of everybody likes sausage, but nobody wants to know how the sausage is made. What if you got to do a third party walk through and see how really government worked, right? Do you think that it has to do with Congress and the judicial and the executive, and they have laws and whatever, and then you got to walk in the kitchen of government and find out how it really works? Do you think that you would have more appreciation by being led and ruled by these people, or you'd be like, holy shit, I can't believe anybody he eats here?
I feel dirty.
Right. And that's the where I'm at, where we have 90% appreciation for the presentation, and only 10% of us are out there saying there's more in the kitchen, and you're going to lose all hope for the front end of this thing as soon as you see what happens in the back.
I mean, how many times have you seen a local political candidate for anything get to a higher level and suddenly seem different, and they'll say, you have to play the game. You have to.
Every one of them.
And so we know this.
So, okay, Elon Musk is our best example. That is someone who I know because I follow him. I've looked at his history. I pay attention to him on social media. I know his personality. I know that he would I've watched him in front of an international symposium give the double middle finger and say F off, right? He is not scared to show up in front of authority and tell them to F off. But then you have put him in front of the budget and the allocation of money, and he goes on Rogan and says, there is stuff that we're not going to be able to get rid of because I'm going to be killed. Yeah. I believe him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He flat out said, I'll be killed if I bring this 100%.
To light. So if that's of a reasonable person who's not afraid to say F you is scared for his life, having seen what he did, I know he saw part of the kitchen, and he is not, he is very afraid of it.
Even on a level we've talked about this idea of hush money in the government, a fund that politicians can go and pay for their indiscretions, pay for your silence. Right. I messed around with this woman. I messed around with this porn star or whatever. I had this indiscretion on the side. Here's our fund meant for this to pay people for hush money. If you believe that exists and that's a real thing, why in God's name would you ever think we're going to ever know anything about the Epstein files?
Yeah, because what are you going to do about it? Even if we want to believe that there's such a high level of morality in the people who are governing us, that the minute that somebody had any kind of indiscretion, that they'd be washed out because everybody would just say, how dare you, take what the voters and that responsibility and their trust in you. But now they're like, it happens so often. We might as well put a slush fund together. And when they know there's a slush fund, it's not going to matter. They'll be like, oh, boys will be boys. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, well, I paid off this woman so she wouldn't tell what I did. But I'm totally giving you the Epstein information.
Yeah. They have the ability to make it so that we never know. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. Let's go back a little bit. Holy shit. There's a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. We had so many comments here. This is going to be the rest of the show. I'm going to read your comments and, I think
Thomas is trying to pick a fight, so
good,
I'm not answering that
I'm up for it.
Okay.
Were the killing of Renee Good and Alex Preddy justified in the host's eyes? I come from two parts on this. I'm a protector of human beings, and life is precious, and it's very delicate, and it's very limited, and I don't think anybody should die. And I think we should go to the ends of the earth to make sure that people don't die. I don't care if we have a disagreement with the country and we bomb innocent people and blow up, 20-kilometer square blocks because of a fight between politicians. I will preserve life above all else. Now, I also believe that law enforcement has a duty to do. And you are a participant. You know how to not be killed, right? And if you do the things that tempt law enforcement to kill you, it is a lot on you, right? And so do I want law enforcement like we saw in Seattle, and we saw in Minneapolis, and we see in Chicago, and we see in New York, right? A person, and we even saw it here in Youngstown, a person walks into the middle of the street and blocks traffic. So your trust in law enforcement, what do you think, like if you were just to fill out an essay and say, if you had a person, you're trying to go somewhere, and there are 7 people across the street, what would you expect law enforcement to do with those 7 people?
Move them.
Okay, remove them immediately because they are, number one, causing a huge risk to the people on the road and to themselves, right?
Yeah.
And so if they are willing to put themselves at risk, the cops need to do the right thing, which is, what is the law? Okay, the law is you can't sit across the street. That's pretty apparent. Nobody disagrees. That is illegal. And they be arrested and they put in a prison where they can come down off of their emotional, whatever, and be more reasonable somewhere else. The longer that these cities tolerate misbehavior in illegal things, it escalates the response from the cops doing their thing. There's going to be some way that, I wanted to sit on the street and I expect the cops to respect my First Amendment because that's how I choose to express myself. Reasonable people are like, no, you don't do that. You sit on the road and somebody hits you. Who am I feeling bad for? Am I feeling bad for you who took the risk? And that is the toll for doing things that put yourself at risk? Or am I going to blame the driver who was driving down the road, expects law enforcement to keep the road safe so that you don't get hit? I'm always going to go on the side of the law enforcement who is doing the letter of the job. So in this case, if somebody was shot, I don't want anybody to be shot, but who played the bigger role in somebody being shot? And it's the person who did the dumb thing. I don't take, if you're an officer and your first motive is to kill somebody, then I'm going to take objection to that, right? So do I think in the case of Good and Preddy that somebody had to die? I absolutely do not, but I put both pressures on it. I think the cops should have tried harder not to make life end, because I don't think an imminent risk of the officer's life was at stake. But I also think that if you're going to push on the limits of what makes you dead, I think they did a good deal of investment into being dead that day.
Mm-hmm.
I think we already kind of covered that, but thank you, Thomas, for that question. Israel financed Epstein to collect blackmail info. He taught at an all-girls school.
So he was a teacher.
The connection of who was complicit and okay, so this is one of those weird things where we know it all exists, but when we get outraged when we know it exists. So right now, if you had a Iranian hacker that hacked our infrastructure and turned out all the lights in the country, would you feel that was bad?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you think the United States has hackers that do the same thing to other countries, and is it bad?
Do I think it happens? Probably. Is it bad?
Yeah,
rather them on my side than against them.
I think we have better hackers, and I think we're more restrained than other countries because we don't use it unless we actually need it. Like if you don't think that when we captured down in Venezuela, that they would knock out the lights because our hackers came in and turned off the electrical grid. So we do it too. The espionage and CIA and covert ops is something that every country does. And it's no noble in one direction and not noble, ignoble. Is it ignoble? Ignoble is chemistry, but is it ignoble? Unnoble?
Unnoble?
Yeah. But anyway, if it's not a noble gesture when we do it, right, then it can't be. If it happens, you want to hold your nose and think that kind of shit doesn't happen. But if we're doing it too, then it's just the way that the game is played. And I know that Israel is in the middle of nothing but adversaries. They're in the ground zero for all your neighbors hate you and you hate all of your neighbors. So if you don't think that the United States creates allyship and does below board stuff to be able to still survive and take your enemies and make them less capable, if you don't think we do that, then you're silly. So if you said Epstein played a role in Mossad or Israel, that's totally believable, but it doesn't create an instant villain. I bet you that there were, Epstein was a money player. So if you don't think that he had agreements with tons of different countries to get tons of different leverage, right? Because that's the game he was playing. I don't know what to say for you. So it's too myopic for me to be just a Israel blamer.
Thomas says, here comes the spin. Trump is mentioned more times in the files than Harry Potter's name in the entire book series. Does that scream innocence?
It does. And again, like I wait for the thing that is incriminating.
Right. And again, here's me playing both sides that people hate. I have heard his name is in there a bunch. I have also heard people say, read the way his name is mentioned. It actually vindicates him. I don't know what's true. I didn't read the files.
I believe that first part. I don't believe that second part.
Okay.
I don't think it vindicates him, and I don't think it.
Yeah, I don't know how
indicts
it's
him.
mentioned.
I really don't.
People just say, "Oh yeah, it does mention."
Yeah,
and proves
if
that
you
he
wanted to
didn't do
take the
anything,
logical,
but I
you
don't
would
know.
say, "Give me everyone that's on the list." And do I believe that everyone that's on the list was participant in the bad behaviors? That would be a long deal. Now, it adds an element that if you were there, right, then you would have seen something, you would have been exposed to something, and you could have very easily been a whistleblower. So if you went to an island where there was stuff going on like that, and you didn't immediately run to the authorities and say, we got to end this stuff, that's complicity as far as I'm concerned as well.
Because what if the authorities are also involved?
It's exactly right. So I think it's
Like,
damage.
who are you going to tell when it's everybody?
I think it's a lack of information. I think there's a lot of powerful people that are involved. I think we'll never know the scandal that really is.
Yeah.
There's people on that list that had nothing to do with it. There are people on that list that knew what was going on and didn't say anything to anybody. All of that exists. I just don't know who on that list was which one of those categories. And if I was doing a federal investigation with infinite resources, that is something that could be known. And being that it is not known, then it's not something we're ever going to know, period.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they can take you, John Q. Public Citizen, and know everything about you when they want to know something about you, but all of this is just so mysterious, they can't get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
That's everything you need to know.
Bull crap.
Right.
It's such bull crap.
Right.
Penny Lane, our country is still run by Israel. Fodder 9-year-old girls.
Elon literally asked when the wildest party was. He wanted to partake, just never got the chance. It's fine. I mean, party as in doing bad stuff, or party going to champagne event in a tuxedo and whatever. I don't know which one you're talking about. Is it what party you're referring to? And that's why I said an investigation could dispel that, because it could point out which of the things they did were legitimate functions of business and enterprise at the time, and which one of them were, hidden underground, vulgar, terrible things. And if you lump them all together, then you're going to take a lot of people that are truly innocent in this, and you're going to basically assign things that they don't deserve. And that's why I want to know more. I just don't think we're going to know more.
Here's where I feel too that some people truly want to know what happened, and some people just want certain people to go down.
Yeah, that's
exactly. And I'm not accusing anyone here of doing this. I'm just sort of pointing out where it could almost be perceived as going. There's a lot of Trump's name is mentioned. Elon wanted to, but didn't. I've also seen photos of Bill Clinton in the pool with people at a party. Why is it only certain people they're looking to get? You've not yet said, oh, and I think Clinton was involved. Oh, and I think maybe Biden was involved. Oh, and I think anybody from your party was also involved. Again, I'm not accusing you of never doing that, but I think some people are in this for like a win of some sort.
Yeah, that's the fodder.
Yeah.
That is the fodder.
And I think that's also by design, is make it look as though it's Republicans versus Democrats. People are just itching for whoever they don't like to go down, more than what is actually happening and how everybody's involved.
Yeah. And think of your favorite crime show, right? You are introduced in the pool of being a suspect, an interested party. You're looking into it because if you were at a club and there was cocaine being done in the VIP section, right? And then you're at the club. Well, the investigators are going to say, I'm going to look at you because you were in the club. But the ultimate thing is, can I prove that you were a participant in the cocaine? You being there makes me look at you. Mm-hmm. And then I do an investigation to see if you were participating in the illicit act, right? Yeah. So think about that. Anybody, like even Bill Clinton, a picture in a pool does nothing for me because I could think of 5 other reasons why we have reasonable doubt that was not what we think it is. Mm-hmm. And I don't say hope it is, because I don't want anybody to go down
if they are not guilty of something.
Yeah, you could see that and be like, well, obviously, if I had a very rich friend with a private island in a pool and on a resort, I want to go.
Right. You would say you're just at the club to dance and listen to some good music.
Yep.
And I'm going to say there was cocaine going on.
You can't prove that there was some intent to do something illegal.
Exactly.
But then you look at something like not showing up for your Senate hearing or whatever that's called. That kind of looks a little sus.
just like you're a suspect in something that would enter in as a data point and figuring out if you would, like if you did something suspicious, then I'd look at you with a little bit harder. But then my goal is to either exonerate you, like remove you from the suspect pool, or you have not been eliminated from this. And that's what investigations have not done. So if you took a pool of people and the investigation said, we looked at XYZ, right? There's no evidence to support XYZ, and they're no longer a suspect in this. That'd be cool. But do you know what they've done with that whole exoneration thing? It's literally been everybody. Kash Patel has been a huge disappointment, right? Because he went on Rogan and said, yeah, we've got the Epstein files, and number one, we want to protect the innocent, so we've masked out anything that takes innocent people and puts them into that fodder list, right? And number two is he says there's no evidence that we can use for an indictment for anybody that's involved. So really all you're doing is the public opinion is weighing this court case, and they're being given a bunch of random things, and then home kitchen detectives are going through it and see who they would take to the gallows.
Yeah.
And that's not how we do judicial in this, in this country. But I don't have any faith that the people who are responsible for that judicious behavior that have either they're incapable, unwilling, right, or being pressured not to have an investigation in this realm.
Yeah, I mean, look at if you leave the political spectrum and you go to entertainment and the whole Diddy and the Diddy parties. Everybody who is anybody in the entertainment industry has said, that's where you went.
That's exactly
you
right.
wanted to be at a Diddy party. You went to a Diddy party. Everybody was there. But not everybody committed illegal acts.
Exactly.
Not everybody knew what was going on. And we kind of dropped that because we're not as divisive on that. We're divisive in, I want this politician's name in there. I want them to go down instead of I want everybody involved to go down.
Yeah. And because, like I said, my opinion has evidence that a guy went to prison, right, for doing an illegal act of serving young girls to people, and all the two peoples, right, have been protected, right? So, during the hearings, it was pointed out that somebody went to jail for selling things to no people. And that is where it doesn't sit right with me, that if you don't have a buyer and you're charging me with distribution, the attorney is going to say distribution to who, and the judge isn't going to be like, oh, you can let the person you sold to remain anonymous. You're going to say, if you're going to charge me with distribution, who bought? Like, who's this person? Because they are freaking guilty too.
Yeah. Let's see.
Believe the women who went through all of it. That's a bullshit statement, as far as I'm concerned. If you don't think that women who went through it could be captured just as easily, like it is, everything is a pursuit of law, right? And the scrutiny of a witness or a woman or a victim, they all have to be put through the same filter, where it's not like, if you're a woman and you say that it happens, I'm done. Like, I'm not even going to try to poke holes in it. I'm not going to try to make sure you're telling the truth. So that is on its face bullshit. Now, if somebody said something, it should be investigated like anything else. And if, again, you implicate somebody, let's make sure that your testimony holds under fire and under, sort of like dissection. And if it holds, then cool, you're a witness. If I came along and said, hey, make sure you say this thing and I'm going to give you $1 million. And then you go on the stand and say, this happened, right? And then everybody's like, you can't push up against that, right? She's a woman and she says she went through it. You just got to believe her. That is a corruption of entering it through the system that is supposed to be unfalsifiable, right?
Yeah.
And that is a big corruption that I do not agree with. All of it was litigated in Florida before Pam Bondi and Trump shut it down. Knowing how the internet works, this shit was 15 to 20 years ago. None of this was supposed to see the light of day. You're absolutely right. You think they were thinking about how the internet works? No, not at all. Carter Stone said TDS is worse than VD. That might be the case. Thomas says, can you explain why Trump has been so hell-bent on moving on and not wanting this release? Suspicious, right? If you're
I think all of them.
If you're guilty, you would not want to go any deeper into it. If you're annoyed by it, you wouldn't want to go any deeper into it. If it's a distraction and getting in your way of getting stuff done, you wouldn't want to go any deeper into it. There's a lot of different ways. And again, proper logical investigation means you take all those things on the table and you eliminate them through reason and evidence, one at a time. Not just like, you don't want to hear about it. You must be guilty, right? That's mob mentality, verdicts, and judicial system. That is not our legal system's version of it.
Yeah, like Penny Lane says, the spin is incredible. How do you do it with a straight face? Like, what's the spin? What do you think he's spinning?
Go ahead, push
because
back on it.
You're not saying what they want you to say.
Yeah.
So you must be wrong.
Here's the thing. I don't know if Trump is guilty, and I don't know that Trump is innocent. And I think we need to keep digging until we find out one way or another. How is that spin?
Because you didn't just say he's guilty, Joe.
That's right.
It's what they want to hear. Just say it. And it's like, I haven't seen all the evidence, and I haven't read the files, and I'm also not an attorney, and I don't understand international laws, and there's a lot more in this.
Not going to say it until I'm convinced, and I'm pretty reasonable on being convinced. So it doesn't take a whole lot other than if I don't have a competing. So a competing version, right? So let's take Bill Gates. Bill Gates seems pretty cut and dry, right? Mm-hmm. But the believability. So Bill Gates, on record, going to this place a bunch of times, has sort of like a feeling from the public that he's, does some dirty deeds and whatever, not very trustworthy in that way. Sends an email. So what do we know? Do we know that he sent the email? Do you know that he sent the email and not his assistant? So if I said, hey, you know what? I don't even send any of my emails. My assistant does it. Well, obviously that if somebody sent an email and it wasn't him, we're assuming that it came from him, but I don't know that. I don't know if he has AI regulating it. I don't know if somebody hijacked his account. I don't know if his assistant said that thing. So what I know has a risk indicator of like, I'm 50% sure Bill Gates had a weird run-in, right? Mm-hmm. Me personally, legally 0. He is still innocent because you have not gone beyond my reasonable suspicion that any of those other, prevailing versus minority options have not been dispelled yet. That is my standard.
And it's so funny too, the spin you're putting on it. We have literally said countless times, everyone is probably involved. This is probably bigger than we know. Everybody's corrupt. Everybody's hiding. You either did the illegal deed or you covered it up.
Right.
Everybody is in this, and I don't trust anyone. But because you didn't directly state the one man they hate the most is the only one involved, now you're putting a spin on it.
Yep. 15 minutes ago, you had a rant about how you're in the middle. Now you're running cover for the administration. I will tell you, Bill Clinton is not part of the administration. Bill Gates is not part of the administration. If you've known or if you've witnessed here, we've treated all three of those the exact same way, not exonerating evidence and not condemning evidence. We're open to more information. The speculation is rough and it's fun, right? But we know no more than we did before until the authorities who we trust to be thorough and honest go through an investigation and we have some trust that what their findings are correct and truthful, period. Tulsi Gabbard, don't give up.
F.
Give an F. I still like Tulsi. She's been kind of railroaded here these last couple weeks.
I don't know that she watched a lot of the Tulsi stuff lately.
I would not want to work in the Trump administration. I would not.
I wouldn't want to work in politics, period.
But that is a exceptionally brutal administration to be able to work in. Like Bongino, I feel like he was a pretty alpha type of personality, and his leaving was like I would assume a guy like him could have hung in there even with you had brutal fire. For him to wash out like that he did. Like, I'm very surprised at that. So I'm just the internal combustion of that administration has to be fierce.
Mm-hmm. Penny Lane, this is a complete MAGA podcast. Penny Lane, I would urge you to listen a little more closely and listen to understand and take in information and not just to push back.
And Penny Lane, one day, through principle, I will defend you because I don't care who you are. I care more about the principle than the person.
Mm-hmm.
You just called a man who wanted to partake in parties on an island a reasonable person. Yikes. Well, yeah. I know tons of
Are you
people.
telling me if you had a best friend that had an island in the tropics, you wouldn't go? And no, don't say that we're saying what Epstein did is okay. It's not okay. And we're not talking about Epstein Island. We're talking about anybody who has a friend who's having a party, you would go. And if something bad happens there, you're not automatically guilty because you had a friend who had a party.
It does not
you're
immediately.
putting words in our mouth.
Yeah, if you had a cathedral for child sacrifice and everybody who went there knew that it was a cathedral for child sacrifice, then everybody who went there is indicted as far as I'm
where's
concerned.
your outrage over the Diddy parties? Why are you not yelling at every single celebrity in Hollywood that ever went to a Diddy party? You better yell at all of them. You better want all of them arrested, regardless of why they were there, if that's your point.
All right, Brian says, not local political candidates publicly committing to political suicide by telling the world on acquaintance that they're gave on entire community. I didn't get that.
Political candidates
Did I read that wrong?
committing. Not local political candidates publicly committing political suicide by telling the world an acquaintance of theirs gave on an entire community on STI. Oh, whatever this Brandon STI thing is what he's referring to, I'm guessing. A local candidate is committing political suicide by talking about an acquaintance gave a community VD. Is that this Brandon
All right,
drama?
I'm moving on. Thank you,
Brian.
Brian. Thomas says you're talking about Donald Trump right now. Thomas says not trying to pick a fight, just trying to challenge your points. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. And thank you, Thomas. Let me be clear. I get a little animated.
This week. She's on a high
this
right
week. Now. We appreciate your interaction, and by all means, we welcome open discussion. I get a little when I hear I'm just trying to challenge your points. Good to do. Also, make sure you're listening to the points. Know what you're like I always tell people, if you're going to disagree with me, by all means, disagree with me, but at least know what I said. Like, at least understand my point and then challenge it.
Judy says, then tase them. Don't use bullets. And the training for these agents are substantial, less than my son who's going to cosmetology school. I agree with the first part of that. And if you can do less than lethal, you can take these people off the streets, the ones that are breaking the law, and keep them in jail for like a month. Make it a mandatory 1 month in jail. Let everything die down, and then you can't be a participant. If I tase you, put you in front of a judge, and they immediately release you, and then you just go back in the crowd again, you don't think that's an escalatory deal? Like, anyway, yeah, I'm with you. No law. And the only loss of life, if somebody is an imminent, I pull a gun and I'm on my way. And I guess the Preddy one was probably more of a cluster, but also a bigger threat than the car one, because I felt like the good shooting was that he could have very easily run out of the way and they could have chased down the car and put her in prison. I felt like that wasn't the more threatening of the two, but this guy was breaking laws as he was carrying, right? Mm-hmm. And it's on you that once you know you are armed, you hit the ground and you don't move an inch, and let those cops know that you're not going to go for the gun. So even if he was disarmed by somebody else, and then you see a hand movement on somebody you don't know if still has their gun or not, that you've made really bad choices that put you in that position. So Preddy was more threatening. Good was something that I think could have been avoided way easier.
Did you see they're getting body cams now?
Oh, I'm so happy about that.
Yeah, I saw that. With that, to me, I've been saying, I can't believe they've not had body cams this whole time.
For sure.
Yeah, so that's a good thing.
Dennis said you should watch the Epstein interview from Steve Bannon. It's disgusting who this guy was tied to and had influence over. Even after this sweetheart deal, our government financial system compromised. And even all of those people, the Steve Bannons of the world, who was the Attorney General, Bill Barr at the time, like the dirtiness of all of these people it's what's made in the kitchen, and you're not going to like.
That's why we'll never have complete answers, and we'll never see anyone pay for this because it's so big.
Yes.
It's everybody.
Right.
Everybody.
Dennis also says was on their trilateral commission by invite of David Rockefeller at age 20. We can go back
30.
Historically, and again, it's going to be no different. And when I read about like Iran Contra and what happened, Cuban Missile Crisis, and all of these things that were big, moments in history. And when you look to see the shady dealings that went into making those things, where if you have the Attorney General, they want to always tell the truth and do the bidding of the constituents and the executive branch. And you watch them dabble in things that are little gray area things, if not outwardly illegal. Now they can justify why they did such bad behavior and why they're not in prison, and you would go to prison if you did those exact same things. But you don't have the suggestion of how you would have done it different. If our enemies are willing to go into gray area and do things, whatever, we have to be willing to do those things too. I'll hold my nose and know, hopefully we have a hero in that position who has principles, who won't go beyond that. I use the example of, like, you have an undercover cop, an undercover FBI agent. His job is to join a biker gang, and the biker gangs deal drugs, they kill people, and they do really bad things. Now, if you had a noble person who wants to put somebody in prison and they just need information and know enough known about the enterprise, what would you be willing to let that FBI agent do? Would you allow them to kill somebody, snort cocaine? Would you allow them to deal drugs? Would you allow what illegal activities would be willing if the end result was something that you need to have? So if you're like, I don't want to, he's not allowed to do anything illegal, so he has to join the gang and be like, I don't do cocaine, guys. I ain't killing nobody, guys, and just have that guy disappear.
Find a way
forever.
out every time
if you want taking down the gang of illegal drug dealing biker gangs, then you got to be really willing to tolerate a little bit of messiness as they snort coke, sleep with prostitutes, maybe take a guy out on the city streets to get the big operation and result.
Like the Departed? You ever see the Departed?
Yeah. And so like that, this is the equation. If Epstein doing his thing on an island leveraged a country in Saudi, I'm not going to use Saudi Arabia, just we'll say the Middle East, leveraged a prince in the Middle East to get your way on a national security where you saved 1 million lives, would you let Epstein defile young girls and send them to 1,000 high-end people to get to the one guy that operationally you needed to get to? Like, what would you tolerate? And that's what the CIA is saying. We do a lot of black ops that the public would get super uncomfortable with if they knew how we got to the point where we ended that goal.
Yeah. Yikes.
You keep calling ICE officers.
There's Julie. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Julie. Officers and law enforcement, they are in name only. They are invading thug force. They are a single, they have a non-public facing enforcement agency, right? That's why I feel their goal is not to be seen. Like your normal police officers, they're there for crowd control and their names and whatever. Do you know any Secret Service agents' names?
Technically, yes, but only because I know somebody who is one. But
you shouldn't know. No. Why? Because they are not a publicly facing federal agency. Their job is to be in the background for one deal, to protect the interests of whoever they're covering, whoever they're protecting. Right. Mm-hmm. So in a crowd, you might have 16 Secret Service agents, and their goal is that you don't even know that they're freaking there because they're doing something not public facing. But if the public faces them, they're going to take care of business. So if you will go up to a Secret Service agent and you start shit talking them, you as a citizen, what would you expect the Secret Service agent to do? If you did nothing to them, they would leave you the F alone unless you cause a threat to the person they're protecting. If you talk shit to them, what do you think is going to happen to you?
They might take me down.
Take you down immediately without hearing what you had to say.
Yeah.
You exposed yourself as a threat to a non-public facing federal agency, and you are hitting the ground. you're being banded, and you're taken away in a car. Threat removed. Same thing goes for ICE. They are not law enforcement. They are enforcing immigration law. So if you left them alone, they would go to an investigated person, and they would either question, investigate, or take that person with them. Never once getting in front of a group of people. It is the law, actual public-facing legal law agencies like police departments or sheriffs or state police or whatever.
Hasn't ICE been around for like years?
Yeah, different name, but yeah.
And this is not the first time they've done anything as far as what they were hired to do, go out.
No, they've always done it, and you really never knew they existed except for if you lived in Texas.
Yeah. So why is it now they are thugs?
Because they're thugs because the Democrats invited voters that are illegal and moved them out in non-border states, and now they're spread out into the entire populace. Now ICE agents, instead of just managing the border, they have to go out into civilian populations and round up the people that the Democrats spread out over all of those different territories. So that was what was this is the toll for playing that strategy that we're going to take illegal people and we're going to make them voters. We're going to spread them out of the country. Now the enforcement has to spread out all over the country and round these people up and send them back.
Trump was mentioned more than 38,000 times across over 5,300 documents. I don't know if you guys, will it make you feel better if we say we are not opposed to the idea that Trump is possibly a slimy sleazeball? Like, if that point has not been made clear, let's make that clear. Do I think Trump is an upstanding person of integrity that would never, ever do anything slimy to a woman? Absolutely not. Not arguing that his name is in that document, just so we're clear.
So percentage-wise, and after I read that in my head, Trump was mentioned more than 38,000 times across 5,300 documents. Dun, dun, dun. Right? That's what went in my head, because it's like it led
big
you
numbers.
To draw your own conclusion. But what percentage do you give Trump as being a bad actor in the Epstein saga? Percentage chance.
What percentage chance that he's a bad actor in the Epstein saga? And I'll say this is based off of just my own opinion of him, not any actual evidence I've seen. I'd probably be at least 50% sure.
I'm exactly where you're at. Coin
Yeah.
flip. There's just enough
50%
curiosities and what I know about his personality and who he was in that era that he's at the gate. I haven't opened the gate, right?
Yeah.
But it's not going to take much for me to hit that green button. All it's going to be is something that is not just my own speculation. It's going to be a piece of evidence that goes beyond, plausible deniability.
Yeah.
That he would be.
If we had hard evidence that he indeed is guilty, I would not be surprised at all.
Okay, so let's do others.
Yeah, if we found out he wasn't guilty and there's proof he was not, I'd be like, oh. Okay.
President Clinton is at that same gate, willing to hit the button, but
Yeah.
I have not seen anything that indicates that he was.
Yeah.
Bill Gates, that's at the gate, and sort of his gut is spilling over the gate a little bit, but I have not pushed that button yet. Prince Andrew is the only one that the gate is open, and I'm willing to, because he served the consequences for already admitting what he did in Epstein Island.
Yeah.
He's really the only one that I know of. Like, there might be one unknown guy that went down for this. I forget what his freaking name was. But anyway, there's only like 2 out of probably thousands.
Yeah, I kind of think to myself, like, if I were on a jury, like I'm on a jury, and it is up to me to make a logical reason, and I can't put my own emotion or bias on it whatsoever, then I cannot with certainty say I think anybody did anything.
But there are a bunch of them
don't have the
that are enough believable that you've heard nothing that would indicate that there's no way that could have happened. I think the only low one is Elon Musk, because Elon Musk said enough publicly about it, and even the correspondences that were in those last releases really lend itself to somebody who was not all about going to those kind of parties. His personality and the things that he said publicly, that's probably 25% chance as far as I'm. He's not at the gate yet. He's in that line still. I have not kicked him out of that line.
But everybody, I'm like,
yep.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Are they enforcing immigrations or custom laws? That is a good question. That is a good question.
Immigration or customs laws?
Yeah, I think we've gone from, the broken system of immigration and so many people bypass that gate that we're just doing in lawbreakers at this point. Immigration would be management of, sort of choreographing when you show up at your hearings and providing the right documentation and following the laws that were once here. There's probably some assets that are paying attention to the legal maneuvering, the people who are coming in and doing it right. But that's not, it seems like 90% of the agency is about capturing the people who already broke the law and are causing problems. And 10% are managing the people who are following the letter of the law and being compliant with what they're supposed to be doing once they're getting here. But that's a great question. Matthew says they all deserve to go down, Democrats and Republicans.
Yes.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Yes, Matthew. We agree with Matthew.
We agree with Matthew all the time. He's hard-edged, but we agree a lot more than you would think. And Epstein victims claim Trump took advantage of them. Yeah, lots of see that, and that's the thing. That's another overplaying of the hand, right? Mm-hmm. Trump is not well liked, and the adversaries of Trump have trumped up so many accusations. If it were like the first one and you said it, and it was one of only, and you only did it because you had so much overwhelming evidence, you just wanted me to know, fine. But every week you're telling me Trump is something and whatever. So I don't believe much of what you say because you literally say everything.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the people that are trying to push against Trump are the reasons I think any other normal thinking person would question that. Like, if you've already showed us that you're gunning for someone, even when there's no basis, then how can I not think this is the same thing? It's like you're hurting your own case. I don't think anybody would have any trouble thinking that Donald Trump is capable of being a sleazeball. That is not something that is hard to believe. But when certain people push that idea, it's like, now I trust it less because I've seen how you have tried to manipulate this situation. And you've tried to manipulate this situation.
And we have examples around in the last, 10 years. We have, what's the field hockey team? What's the Jussie Smollett? Like, we have people with given enough pressure and money to say things that are untrue and make an accusation against somebody. We'll believe it for an entire year until, sub headlines on page 14 that, oh yeah, we were wrong about that. That person was totally lying. So if you could tell me that the people that are making the accusation cannot be impugned for having never lied or having an incentive to lie, right? Mm-hmm. Now I'm listening, but you literally overplayed and made so many people line up to say bad things about Trump and maybe fall guys for, even if they were lying, you had the end, you publicly, tarnished. Now you can't tarnish anymore. The dude's a mud monster. He's everything from a Nazi to a rapist to whatever. You believe it, and everybody else is like, come on. The believability that this person, the monster you make him out to be, seems a little suspicious.
Yeah, it's kind of going back to where we were talking about, like, racism. Racism in general is a terrible thing. We should watch for it. We should speak out against it. We should push back against it. We should call out racists and what they do. And we should make sure that no one is ever a victim of racism. But if you take a group of people that cry racism in every situation in which it's actually not, they're hurting their own cause.
And they're bad people.
Your own cause.
They're bad people because the reason that they take up that plight and they use that as a tactic is because it's effective. Like, when you say it the first time, the little boy who cried wolf, you take it serious. Cry wolf. You say it the first time and it works. And like, oh, people will pay attention to me if I say the thing. But then the goal or the strategy in it is that, the fallacy in it is, you overdo it, then people really stop paying attention and when you need to know it. So if I disagree with you and I know that if I call you racist, then I'll get the upper hand because the public will be so outraged that you're a racist. I win the argument because now you're so afraid of me calling a racist, you shut up and cower, and then I win by default.
Yep.
But then you do that, and now you get called the racist for the 1,000th time because of the disagreement. The first time you were willing to be like, all right, I cowered from it. That was probably wrong. I was I had the high ground and I gave it up because how incendiary the term was. Now for the 1,000th time, now you don't even care. Call me a freaking racist because it means nothing because you overused it.
I got called a racist because we talked one day about the high tensions and dangerous situation in Minneapolis. And that was the point, is lots of high tensions right now, lots of violence going on. Everybody's fighting. It's a high, intense situation. It's a dangerous situation. And I'm a racist for saying that. And I went, that doesn't even make any sense. You could say, well, it's this administration's fault. It's these thugs' fault. It's these people's fault. And it's only tense because then weapons were brought in. And you can have all these different pushbacks as to whose fault it is and why it's tense. But when you said racist much, I went, you're actually nuts.
Yep.
Like, that argument is so tired and so ridiculous that you are now the boy who cried wolf and you've ruined your cause.
Yep, for sure. Carter says, please tell me why there is no Epstein outrage when Biden was president. And I'll give you two answers. Number one, I don't think any administration ever wants to touch this with a 19,000-foot pole. Everybody knew how everything was involved and the stuff you couldn't talk about and the victimization. Nobody wanted what happened. I think the Democrats took aim at it because they thought when it comes out, it's going to hurt Trump. And when they don't like Trump and they're looking to impeach him, to get him out of office, some want him to go with other means that are despicable, but they don't want Trump there. And so the Epstein files, they were totally convinced would end his career, and that's absolutely what they want.
So Matthew says, Carter, it's because the investigation was still going on. So it will
20 years. Sure.
20 years.
Sure. 20-year investigation. Just getting to it, right? Wasn't quite done yet.
Does this mean we're done? The investigation's totally done? Is it?
No, this is not an investigation. You know what this is? This is what's that called when you the shit hits the fan and you're just doing
like cleanup
management. What's that word? Anyway,
yeah.
You're trying to mitigate fallout is what you're doing at this point. There is nobody probing in to see what's real or not. Everybody's like, there's gonna be a bunch of people. Damage control. That's what I was trying to think of.
Control, yeah.
They are doing damage control, period. And being that it was going to be nothing but damage control, there's not an administration that would elected to do this. Biden was unwilling to do it because of how many people were involved. Trump was even unwilling to do it once he saw the messiness of this and knew that his allies, his administration would have been torn apart by this happening. Public, I want chaos. If I'm not an anarchist, but if it means that it comes out and everybody goes down, we will build that shit again because the smart people the smart, noble people will be on the outside and the compromised people will be inside.
Here's though where I don't trust that to happen because I don't think our citizens have a mindset yet of us versus them. The American people versus the shady leaders that are using us as their pawns.
Yep.
It is you versus me, us versus Thomas or Matthew, or Julie versus Carter. It's us versus family members and friends. We are so pitted against each other that they'll never go down because all the bad actors have to do is blame the other side and get you with them to blame the other side. And we stay fighting each other instead of the people who are actually in these files.
Ants, the movie. Do you remember that one? The grasshoppers.
Oh,
and the ants.
Yes.
So everybody wants to, I mean, there's political vibes in there during that exchange where if the ants only knew that they outnumbered us 100-1, that they could easily not deliver them all of their food. The grasshoppers are the freaking government as far as I'm concerned. And the minute that we rise up, we have dominance over them. But as long as we're not like bootlickers for our leaders, our sugar daddies in government,
which we got called yesterday.
We were bootlickers yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
For billionaires.
That's the first time. Totally first time I've been called a bootlicker, for sure.
Yeah.
Dennis says the Wiener laptop, Podesta leaks, and now the Epstein files prove perversion is more commonplace on the left. I disagree. I agree with it up to the on the left part. I would say that perversion and compromise is common in every corner of government. It's commonplace because it's the accepted maneuvers of people that get in political power. We've known people that went to high office, either state level government or federal. They are different people when they get there than they are when they went in. Anybody who pushes against the status quo gets freaking decimated. And we're seeing like Tom Massey, right? We're seeing people who won't just go along with it. John Fetterman, how long are they going to last when they have alienated themselves with their peers of game players? They don't have a long shelf life, I assure you.
Have you seen the end yet to The Beast in Me?
No.
Okay, so again, this is not ruining anything, but it's two totally political opposite ends of the spectrum that have to secretly meet and discuss something they don't want to do, but it's like, you're not going to get this without me, and I get this.
And you got to play the game.
Yep. And then this person gets called a sellout and blah, 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 but they know we are dead in the water if I don't do this.
That's right. You got to compromise yourself for the duty, and if you have to kill somebody when you're in the biker gang to get the lead guy, you're willing to slaughter that person.
Just like you said, in ants, we can't ever let them know they outnumber us, which we do. It's also people will bond over a common enemy. We just got to make sure that enemy's not us; it's each other.
Yep. But I think the grasshoppers were wrong. I think even if they told the ants there would be so much infighting, nobody would be able to agree that they're right. So
the ants would fight with which grasshopper's better than the other grasshopper instead of why don't we fight against the grasshoppers?
Breger Kirk, you have to have evidence of guilt beyond reasonable doubt. It's crazy. People are just out to get him. Well, and all of that. It's just, like I said, it's just fodder for the mob, pitchfork and torch havers, and they just want red meat to be able to levy accusations, and us reasonable people are going to sit back, watch till they comb through it, find out what comes of it. I don't have high hopes that anything will come of it. I think what was delivered to us is exactly vanilla enough that we can't do any more with it. It just got us arguing for another 5 months.
Yeah, that's their MO. Keep the people arguing and attention off of us.
Dennis said they are just manufacturing a Russian hoax. Carter's calling BS. Dennis says can't do two things at once. Janet says the women have been through investigations. They went in front of Congress, and that's a little, I have a little disappointment in that when you have an actual witness. So if I said, hey, I was on the grassy knoll, I saw exactly what happened. What do you expect from law enforcement if you have a witness that has proof that was actually there and has something to say? What do you expect to happen after that moment, right?
They take it seriously and
investigate it thoroughly. And if they have something, the proper investigation, you have like a hard-nosed DA who would pick that up,
like,
prosecute the shit out of it, and not let anything get in their way. We have no heroes in that executive part, the branch of the executive government, is that we don't have hard-nosed DAs who just want truth, justice in the American way. They're playing the game too, and they're like, I know you have this thing, but it's going to disrupt a lot of other things, and let's just quiet this. And is there a payout that make you go away? And we can't disturb this because it's going to ruin a lot of things.
And I do want to be elected again.
Yeah.
So...
as were previous sitting presidents at that time, the person that was convicted was unalived in prison that could directly implicate the plethora of very high-powered politicians. Absolutely right, Brian.
Yeah.
Matthew says Trump's lies make no sense. He says, I don't know the guy, but the email and pictures prove that's BS. Joe says you didn't regurgitate her opinion verbatim, so you are spinning it and you are the enemy. Absolutely. Bill Gates' divorce lines up with the Epstein docs. Yes. And still very curious. And again, the only thing we don't know is if he were the one that actually sent the email. Like if I were a reporter, I'd be like, hey, Mr. Bill Gates, that email that's in the Epstein, did you write that? And Bill will say either, yes, I wrote that, and that's why I got divorced. And then we would know. But if the media's job is not to dig through things, like, do you think any reporters asked Bill Gates that question up to this point? Probably effing not, because they're as captured as the politicians at this point, and they're on a team mostly on the left. And where's Bill Gates set on the spectrum? He is definitely on the left. So
do you honestly think he'll answer those questions?
It doesn't matter, but his response would be helpful to see how he answers that question. If I look into his eyes and what comes out of his mouth is either going to be a person who is sorry for it and whatever, or a person that, his handlers have already given the script to read when whatever. It'll tell me information. It won't obviously
what if he's like, I'm not answering these questions.
That's exactly right. That'll be another snippet of information that will add to how curious I get as to if he is or not. Do you think that adds to he's probably innocent if he says that, or it's probably, that's another thing that says he probably is guilty? Again, not an indictment, but makes Joe Danyi feel a little bit more sincere, a little bit more convinced that he's got part of it. Brian says, did the Clintons not do the same basic thing until very recently, and now their asses are over the fire? They have committed to cooperate, most likely trying to cut a deal. I don't ever think it will get there. I think the Clintons are so protected that whatever we see is going to be another continuation of the farce, and they're going to be able to escape any kind of saying anything meaningful in how they're being here. They're well represented legally, and they're going to know exactly what to say. Right now, they're in their bathrooms with their email servers. They're rehearsing everything that they're going to say, and everything they're going to say isn't going to be able to exonerate them, isn't going to be something that puts them in prison. It's going to be just enough to say, well, that was a waste of time.
I think we skipped Julie's. Oh, here it is. There was one from Julie up higher. Maybe we missed it. I don't know. I don't know how far down we got. Oh, no, I missed it. I'm sorry, Julie. I think you had something and we lost it. Type it again.
A lot of comments today. So
Brian Clifford Thompson, I know him. Brian McHottie, well, I don't play defense for pedophile rapists, so comparatively, yes, I guess so.
Who's the pedophile rapist? Are we condemning a man and assigning things to him that should be reserved for people who, in a court of law, was charged and put in prison for such things? Or are we just going to use those scripts like he's a Nazi because he seems to be very Nazi-like? Yeah, I'm not willing to say that he's a pedophile rapist. I know that term. Like, if you hang on to it, the longer you say it, the more times you repeat it, there's going to be other people that are kind of convinced that you're right. But I'm not convinced he is those two things. Potential? Yes. Legal? No.
We got 5 minutes. Brian, so since you didn't hear your views and opinions regurgitated, I am the enemy, correct? You don't want conversation or debate. You just want the world to bow down, kiss your boots, and tell you that your cosplaying comic book world is what reality truly is. Adam Savage's comment is so very fitting for you. I reject your reality and substitute my own.
All right. So that was up Clifford's response, because I think in public discourse, we have to get used to hearing things that we don't agree with or we don't like, and not resorting to going after the person, just sorting through the ideas and seeing. Oh,
is Clifford and someone else having
fighting
this conversation?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm like, who's Brian? I'm just now seeing the names.
Yeah, they're going back and forth.
I was saying, I don't understand what you're talking about. That's because he's replying to someone else. Get it.
Let's see, Janet. It's still under investigation during Biden administration, and therefore they could not do anything. That is reasonable, but a perpetual investigation for more than 20 years seems suspect. That it would take so long to have one piece. Like, think about things that were investigated and the timeliness that we knew something, and then take other things that seem to be like the Las Vegas shooting and the Butler, Pennsylvania shooting, and how like we pay attention to it for 30 seconds and then it disappears when an investigation's happening.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't feel like they're digging in too much.
We have become this species of 7-second attention span. And I think that is also very much used against us.
And they absolutely know that we'll do that. And all they got to do is wag the dog on us and we fall for it every time. But not us. We'll keep talking about it and know what we know and won't know what we don't know. And that's what makes that.
And we're the bad guys if we don't say what people want to hear.
She's the bad guy because she's sarcastic and flippant with our viewers. I'm the nice guy. I am
ridiculous.
I am the Switzerland of this conversation.
I am the Harvey Dent. I was the good guy until I got pushed so far.
Okay.
I'm this is bullcrap.
I'm the Dexter, where I will just play the role until it's time for the ultimate kill.
Carter says sodium pentothal should be used on all politicians.
I agree.
Like the movie Liar Liar.
We should be able to chemically make truth happen.
Let's make this a thing.
What if we had waterboarding in Congress? Like everybody had to do a year. Once a year, they got pulled into the interrogation room.
Because the people that would vote for this to happen are the ones who don't want it to happen. So we, the American people, will never.
You don't think Congress is going to be like, yeah, let's waterboard ourselves so we tell the truth?
Let's give ourselves let's cut our pay if we can't come up with something that's helpful. Let's go ahead and start prosecuting everybody that breaks the law. Let's go ahead and start being honest and not using the American people as pawns.
But that would be fun as shit if they couldn't lie for a month everything would change. Like that would be so much fun. All right, great freaking comments today, guys. I
Thank you,
appreciate
everybody,
everyone
for
who
participating.
participated. We didn't talk about Epstein because I knew it would turn into that. And I figured maybe through ChatGPT and AI would be able to go through the 3 million documents and give us better summaries. But what you expected to happen through that is exactly what happened. And we know no more than we did before. Little teasers, but whatever.
And if you could take one thing away from this, don't fight with your loved ones. Fight the people that are controlling all this and doing it themselves.
Be the ants. All right. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook.